All right. Good morning.
Recording in progress.
The Friday, March 28th, regular City of Knoxville Public Officer hearing is called to order at 9:32 a.m. I'm Nicholas Bradshaw, the public officer designated by the mayor as described in the City Code of Ordinances, Article 6, Unfit Buildings, and charged with addressing properties in the city that are out of compliance with the adopted codes of the City of Knoxville. The adopted codes include the 2024 editions of the following: the International Fire Code, International Building Code, International Residential Code, International Plumbing Code, International Mechanical Code, International Fuel Gas Code, International Existing Building Code, International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, and the 2017 edition of the ICC ANSI Accessibility Code, 2023 edition of the National Electric Code, 2018 edition of the International Energy Conservation Code, and the 2018 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code. The public officer is authorized to hold hearings, administer oaths and affirmations, examine witnesses, and receive evidence and issue orders as the result of his findings in determining the condition of buildings that are dangerous, unfit, and injurious to the health and safety of the occupants and/or public. The procedure for the public officer is as follows. Each case will start with a report and presentation of evidence by officers representing various city departments. Today, this will primarily consist of, but is not limited to, evidence presented by Mr. Scott Elder, Neighborhood Codes Enforcement Manager for the City of Knoxville. Mr. Elder is employed by the City of Knoxville and is certified as a property maintenance and housing inspector. Following the city's report and testimony, the owner or owners and/or their legal counsel, as well as any members of the general public, will be given an opportunity to respond. The public officer has the authority to limit this time as per his discretion. Today's agenda will be modified to hear the cases of property owners present at this time and in the order signed up as you enter the hearing room. We make this accommodation to minimize any inconvenience to the owners and members of the public here today. For those actively participating in today's meeting, thank you. Your involvement and active participation is appreciated. As per legal counsel, I need to read the following notice of demolition into the record. Any person who intends to perform work on a structure that the public officer has placed on an order against shall first make application to the building official and obtain the required permit. For orders issued by the public officer, please be aware that just obtaining permits and starting rehabilitation of a structure does not invalidate the city's power to take corrective action, such as demolition of a dangerous structure, regardless of the amount of work performed by the owner. All orders are still in effect if the rehabilitation work has not been completed and the structure has not had all final inspections approved within the time provided by the order, or by an extension if one has been granted. Remember, if rehab is not fully complete or an extension is not in place, the structure may be demolished after the order time is expired or after any prior written extension of time has expired without any further notice given to the owner. All right, are there any questions before all participants are sworn in? All right, all individuals testifying today will need to be sworn in. If you are testifying today, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, Ms. LaFew, please advise me if any individuals who arrive late and need to be sworn in mid-hearing.
Okay.
Okay, then. Ms. LaFew, what is our first property?
It is a boarding approval for 524 Victory Street.
Okay.
This property was boarded on October 4th, 2024, and we're just approving, we're requesting approval of the boarding charges.
All right, and we have someone signed up to speak on this item.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Tina, you can come up.
You step forward and please state your name and address for the record.
Victor Jernigan, 229 Sherway Road, Knoxville, Tennessee 37922.
All right. What would you like to say on this item?
There are two properties side by side. The property that you're showing there is 524, and that has been boarded up. The city boarded up the address 522 Victory Street, not 524. So the city's gone out and boarded up the adjoining house and did not board up 524. We boarded up 524. This notice was in September. This was done in September of August or September of last year, and we're just receiving notice today to file the claim of how much money is being owed. And I do apologize. This is the second time the identical situation has happened in the last 5 years where I've been traveling, the notice comes in, it doesn't get handled by my office, and within the 10-day time period, and on the 9th or 10th day when we're going back out to get the property boarded up, the city's already been there and boarded up the property. In this situation, they boarded up the wrong house. So I've been here twice in 4 years, I think, for exactly the same situation. The homeless come, we board the properties up while we're waiting on the redevelopment of the property. The homeless come in, they rip off the plywood that we've put up, they occupy the house, we go in and chase them out, we board the house back up again, and then within sometimes 2 days, sometimes 2 weeks, they're back at it again. And it's, fortunately, we have enough ongoing coverage of the properties that we're able to catch it on a pretty regular basis. But it's a continual and perpetual problem at multiple different locations, not just for me, but for other people across the city of Knoxville, with the homeless population just literally taking control of every vacant lot. So in this situation, I don't know what the charges are. I don't know how much is involved. You boarded up the wrong house. I'd just like to know how much money you spent boarding up the house.
So you're, just to be clear, you're saying that you're disputing that the city boarded 524 Victory Street? You're saying they did not board 524?
They did not board 524 Victory Street. The plywood is marked with your all stamp on it on 522 Victory Street. I mean, Tina's got the pictures
With the date stamp.
with the date stamp on it.
Is this your property here?
Yes.
Okay. I was just handed a note that and I can look into this. I mean, this is the first I'm hearing about it, so if we need to revisit this, we can maybe move it to next meeting. But this picture was taken by our crew the day of the boarding, and it shows their fresh board there. So that's the city's evidence that we're presenting today.
So again, all I can say is that the boards with the stamp on them are on 522, not 524. And I'm wanting to be cooperative. You all have gone out and done work. The city has so many, I've got some vacant city lots next to another property that I own. I have called multiple times to have that lot cut, maintained, because the grass gets 2-3 feet tall. It gets completely overgrown, and the homeless dump mattresses on the back alley of that lot. And a neighbor's call talking about the homeless having sex on the backyard, on the alley, on the city's lots, with grass 2-3 feet tall. I understand it's difficult for the city to keep up with everything that they've got that's vacant lots, and the city's problem dealing with the homeless. I mean, I understand the problem. So I'm wanting to be cooperative. I'm wanting to find out how much money the city spent, what you charged to board up the house. We've got the other property secured. I'm not trying to be argumentative or difficult. I'm not trying to evade not paying for work that was correctly done, but I'm pointing out that you all have boarded up the wrong house. I'd like to know what the charges are, and we'd like to get it settled and move on. But you definitely boarded up the wrong house.
Yeah. You say you have pictures of the other house to show?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, we can get the number of what's owed here, and then I don't mind looking into this and talking with the crews who did this. If we need to revisit this, we can. Today's meeting is really to get an affirmation of the invoice that we've created, so that we can get paid on it. But I don't mind if there's some more research that needs to be done. I'm happy to do that. This is 522. This is 522.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, and it very well may be that we've done both of these. So that I just need to do a little bit more research, but we can get the total for you.
The only thing that I would say, because I'm the one who actually went out to the property when we received the notice, and it was evident that 524 had not, so you all boarded that up, and my guess is that's your normal style and fashion of boarding a house up.
Right.
Okay, and so if you look at 524, that plywood that is upstairs is not the same quality, it's not new plywood, it's old plywood that's been there for, I don't even know how long now. The downstairs is not boarded in this picture, so I don't know if the picture was taken after y'all claim to have completed this house. But in the pictures that I have of 524, prior to us boarding it, it's evident that there's not even evidence of new plywood or somewhat new that hasn't been too weathered anywhere on the property. There's all kinds of evidence of old plywood that we boarded it with originally that has been torn off and laying on the ground outside of the windows and the doors. And so the notice was posted on 524 when I went out there. We have since had it had 524 re-secured. I emailed Sherry because there was, like, when I show up, right, I'm seeing 522 with all this new plywood that is stamped September of 24. The city claims that they boarded it in October, so that would coincide with, when they went and bought the plywood. But 522, but on 524, there's nothing, right? So we secured it. And I emailed Sherry for clarification because it was like, when you pulled up, okay, well, wait a minute. The notice is on 524, but it's evident 522 is the property that was boarded, not 524.
Let me go ahead.
And again,
Let me stop the discussion for a moment here. I think the request at the moment is, I think you guys have indicated there's a dispute as to the facts of this particular case.
I'm not arguing the price.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
The city has agreed to a postponement while we investigate, correct?
Sure.
Okay, I'm ready to rule on this now. This is an important discussion and I want it to take place, but I think we need to get through the rest of our agenda today for the hearing. If you guys can stick around, you can communicate directly with Mr. Elder and work through the particulars of this case. I'm going to go ahead and rule that we're going to remove this from the agenda today and postpone it, and we'll revisit it next month. You guys have that long to get this sorted out. All right? Great.
Fine.
All right, it's moved. Thank you. What's the next item on the agenda?
It is a boarding for 5129 Tenwood Drive.
This property was boarded on April 26th of '24, and we're just requesting approval of the boarding charges.
Do we have someone signed up to speak on this item?
Yes.
Ma'am, if you could approach and state your name and address for the record, please.
It's Vicki Morris, 4311 Lee Road, Knoxville.
Okay. What would you, have any evidence to present in regards to this property?
The house is my mother's house. She passed away in 2004. She left my sister there as with a lifetime diary. Since then, my sister has moved off. She's not able to take care of the house. There was 6 of us children that were still living, and no one is able to take care of the place. As far as the yard and stuff, I know the city had been out there multiple times when my sister was living there and had done some work there. Since 2000, me, my husband, and my brother-in-law have been managing the yard. It was totally grown up. You couldn't even see the house from the road when we started on it. We did try to do some repairs. The front porch, actually, the posts and things were decayed, and we replaced them. We replaced windows in the front, just kind of make it look better from the road because it was an eyesore for the community. After we done these things, the front windows got busted out again. The next door neighbor said that the city came out there and took the post loose at the bottom to make sure that it was actually redone. Since we went up there and done that little bit of work and done the yard, the house has flooded. The ditches, the city hadn't maintained the ditches, and the railroad hadn't maintained the culvert that's under the tracks. It's actually flooded twice since we started any work on it in 2020. I had talked with the city about coming out and cleaning the ditches out because, I mean, it's useless to go in there and try and do any work if it's flooding every little bit. The city said they come out there and cleaned it, and that was not true because my husband and I both went and cleaned the ditches out. We did get into touch with the railroad. I had to chase the railroad guy down the railroad tracks to catch him to find out what I could do because I had emailed him, couldn't get no answer. The guy finally said, we'll get somebody out here, and they did repair the culvert that was collapsed under the railroad track. There's a lot of fines and things on the house from when my sister was living there. And I don't know legally if she's the one that's responsible for that or if it's all of us. I have no idea. I did have someone that looked at the property 2 or 3 months ago that was interested in buying it just for the property because the house it's not repairable anymore. And I've got a niece that don't have nothing to do with the property except that she's an heir from my brother, and she refused to sign any papers. So I don't know what else to do with the property.
Well, did you want to respond to that at all, or?
Well, not really. I think I understand the issues, and I'm happy to talk with you about them. Today's meeting, this is really just about the work that we did do. Looks like we did do the boarding work there, so this is just an affirmation of those charges for that incident only.
Yeah, that is correct. It does sound like you have a more complicated issue here than just the boarding. So I certainly encourage you to take advantage of our code staff here and then help work through some of those issues. But I mean, the issue before the public officer here today is approval of these boarding charges. You're not disputing that this boarding occurred, or the.
Actually, everything was boarded up except for the windows on the front and the front door. Somebody did go and board up the back door. But it's been boarded up for a long time.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything further you'd like to add?
No.
I do encourage you to speak to the staff here after the meeting if you need to work through some of those other issues. But we'll go ahead and act on this specific issue before us today, which is this boarding charge.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else signed up to speak on this item?
No.
Okay. All right. I approve the boarding action taken by the City Public Service Department and affirm the charges related to the corrective action for the structure at 5129 Tenwood Drive due to the building being an attractive nuisance and dangerous and injurious to the health and safety of the community, being open and accessible to children and members of the general public. What is our next item?
211 Richmond Avenue, including accessory.
Mr. Elder?
This house was originally inspected in August of '22. It was found to be vacant and in poor condition, as you can see there. The structure shows visible signs of deterioration, significant deterioration on all sides. The roof and gutters are damaged and sagging. I think they may have even fallen further since we've been out there. Several windows and entry doors are damaged and were found to be unsecured during our inspection. The city has boarded this house up before. The utilities have been removed, and there are currently no open permits. Nothing's been applied to begin repairs for this house. So we're requesting a 90-day repair demolition order for this home and the accessory structure. Structures, if there's another one.
Is there anyone signed up to speak on this item?
No.
Okay. I find the structure at 211 Richmond Avenue, including the accessory structure, is out of compliance with the codes of the city of Knoxville, an attractive nuisance, and is dangerous and injurious to the health and safety of the occupants or public. I order the owner to repair or demolish the structure at 211 Richmond Avenue, including the accessory structure, within 90 days. If the owner fails to take corrective action, the structure may be placarded as unfit for human habitation and vacated and closed, and the city may cause the immediate repair or demolition of the building, with the cost of such corrective action being a lien and collected as provided in city code. What is our next item?
Boarding approval for 1107 Phillips Avenue.
Now, this property was boarded in October of '24, and we're just requesting approval of those boarding charges.
Is that, what, I'm having trouble making this one out. Is that actually boarded? Is that just, looks like it's just leaning
Yes.
up?
So they had to chain the door, and then it looked like someone had taken the corner of the door and pulled it up. So they've got the board there to,
Oh, it's a door,
Keep
okay.
it out,
That's a
yeah.
door. I thought it was part of the
Yes.
wall. Okay. So we're just covering the opening in the door there.
and chaining it shut.
And change, okay. Okay. Is there anyone to speak on this item?
No.
All right, I approve the boarding action taken by the City Public Service Department and affirm the charges related to the corrective action for the structure at 1107 Phillips Avenue due to the building being an attractive nuisance and dangerous and injurious to the health and safety of the community, being open and accessible to children and members of the general public. Thank you. Next.
Boarding approval for 1113 Phillips Avenue.
Property was boarded in November of 2024, and we're just requesting approval for these boarding charges as well.
What's this? I'm sorry, I'm curious, but what is this one in this in this picture? Is that a gap between the garage door and the, okay, I see.
If they have a large door that they can't cover the entire door with plywood, they will do boards that they will screw into the side, and then they will screw those into
I see,
the door frame.
okay. Okay, and no one signed up to speak for this item?
No.
Okay. I approve the boarding action taken by the City Public Service Department and affirm the charges related to the corrective action for the structure at 1113 Phillips Avenue due to the building being an attractive nuisance and dangerous and injurious to the health and safety of the community, being open and accessible to children and members of the general public. Next item.
Boarding approval for 3700 Sevierville Pike.
This property was boarded in September of '24, and we're just requesting approval for those boarding charges.
Well, this one looked really straightforward to me, so that's great. Okay, I approve the boarding action taken by the City Public Service Department and affirm the charges related to the corrective action for the structure at 3700 Sevierville Pike due to the building being an attractive nuisance and dangerous and injurious to the health and safety of the community, being open and accessible to children and members of the general public. I believe that takes us to the end of the agenda today. I do want to acknowledge the long service of Ms. Sherry Burke, who has been an invaluable member of this team and to the codes enforcement team in particular. I know Scott's going to miss having her there, and I appreciate your service, and good luck in your future career endeavors with the city outside of codes. But and then excellent job, Grace, Ms. LaFew, first meeting. So a new era started today. But yeah, I appreciate both of you. So with that, there being no other business brought before the public officer on this day, this hearing is adjourned at 9:56 a.m. Thank you.